Hello audience, Storyboard Ed. Today I went and saw a film. What was the film called? Well, let me show you on my ticket right here.
It's Aquaman!
If you're wondering what I think of this movie, well, it's a long story. I started watching this film and it's so much action put into a film that it doesn't allow itself to get boring, but it feels like the story is so here and there. Like there's a purpose, but then all of a sudden that purpose cuts to something that needs to be done, and then like it gets weird. The story gets all over the place, honestly, is what I'm saying. To sum up the story element, I'd have to say that the story is pretty much around the mother. Aquaman's mother. It comes from the sea, and the father lives on the ground, not the sea, and they have like a love affair, and that creates Aquaman. And Aquaman is asked to save the sea by a red-headed woman. And this red-headed woman is like, "Come save the sea, Aquaman." And Aquaman says, "I don't wanna." And she says, "Pretty please." So he goes and does it. This film, like, to be honest with you, it feels like it kind of is all over the place, so it's weird. It's weird. I mean, I enjoyed the film. I really did. But in all honesty, it was so... felt like it was doing different genres all at once. Like, there's a part where they're in a desert. It felt like an adventure film. Also felt like a horror film because, like, there are these monsters introduced, and they're, like, on a ship and stuff. That was horror. And also some comedy because Aquaman is like, "My man!" Which is kind of like his way of saying things. Like the way he says things is humorous in this. Though Aquaman has quite the tough, badass look compared to the comics where he's a blonde guy who's clean cut and talks to fish. And in this one he's got like scars and stuff. And I've seen Aquaman depicted in several shows and he looks nothing like the way DC is now having him. I think they realized that the old image of Aquaman just didn't make him look badass enough, so they got a guy with a nice beard and a nice scar, and we're like, hey, he's Aquaman. So I guess the story is, okay, once Aquaman's created stuff, the story goes into how Aquaman and this girl need to save the Atlantis. That's the main place where his mother's from, is Atlantis. I'm trying to remember all this because it's kind of, the story is so all over the place that I'm just kind of in my head piecing it together right now after seeing it at the cinema. Though I'm very late to the party because I think the film was released in theaters like either late November or late December of 2018. And honestly, I went to the showing today with a friend, and we were both able to sit there, and the whole area that we were sitting in was just empty. Like pretty much the whole theater that we were in was empty. One other person was there to see it. And, yeah. Watching a film maybe a month or two after it comes out might be a better way to actually see a film. More quiet. Alright, back to the story. Aquaman and this girl, they got to save Atlantis. And as they're trying to save it, there's this bad guy who happens to be Aquaman's brother. And there's this whole thing about them both thinking that the mother is dead. And in the story, they go, Aquaman and this woman, they end up in several different places. And each place has its own kind of vibe. The one that they find, the one I found most interesting, is the one that was like a Jurassic World near the end, where the mother is dressed as like a maybe a T-Rex. No, not T-Rex, but like a little dinosaur. She's dressed up as that, and she saves the redheaded woman near the end of the movie. And when it's revealed that she's alive, it's just kind of it's a weird moment. It's a weird moment where I'm like, what? You know, I'm literally just sitting there just going, what? Because I'm having a tough time wrapping my head around what precisely brings her back. You know, I mean, as she explains it, she ended up in that place with the T-Rexes and stuff like that because she was sent there to die, but she fought and she lived. That's what I gathered from that, but it was just kind of like, you know. And she said she couldn't make it back, you know, or something like that. She had no access in getting back. And apparently Aquaman ending up there changed it, and that had the key to his trident. That area that he ended up in with her there, his mother. He was able to get his trident there, which turned him into Aquaman, the orange outfit and green pants and everything. And seeing that outfit on a badass, to me, makes the badass look less like a badass and more like a guy wearing an orange t-shirt and a green pair of pants. He was able to fight his brother and win, and the brother gets locked up. But before the brother gets locked up, they both have a conversation with the mother. The brother realizing, wow, his mother's not dead. And that's kind of a heartwarming moment, I guess. But this film is like a cliche of adventure films, and also just it does some it tries to do some weird stuff too. Like there's a moment in the bar where Aquaman is approached by these tough-looking guys, biker guys, and you think that they're gonna get in some kind of fight. I mean, you do see that in a lot of superhero movies. Like there's some bad guys, fight them, you know. But instead, it just turned into a selfie thing, which was interesting. But I mean, this movie's a lot of cliches. I mean, there's in a lot of these superhero films, I see the woman in it, or somebody who cares about the main character say, "You're meant for much more. You're exceptional at everything. You're really cool." and the superhero guy going, I don't know about that. And by the end of the film, he's going, maybe I am. You know, we're all going like, yeah, you're a superhero. You're pretty exceptional at something. You know, but like we've heard the line that you're meant for more before in a lot of movies, including non-superhero movies. You know, those kind of things. And there's the whole part of the reconnecting with family kind of thing. I saw that in the Ant-Man and the Wasp film, the whole family reconnection thing. So seeing it in this one was kind of like, it was interesting, but at the same time it didn't really open any new doors that Marvel hasn't already opened. This is a DC film, I know, but I'm just trying to see like where it tried to change, and it just kind of, it went with a lot of superhero movies formula of the characters meant for something more. They must take on their destiny, and then they must defeat the bad guy. The bad guy in this film. Okay, I'm gonna just kind of briefly talk about that whole thing. That was like the ultimate bad guy in this film is a son to a kind of a ultimate bad guy. Well, he's not really an ultimate bad guy. He gets killed off. He's a bad guy who helps out. I'm sorry. Go again. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm really working from the noggin here and just telling you what I got, and then I'll summarize at the end so you all get it, because I feel like I'm going all over the place. This movie went all over the place. So am I. Alright, so, the bad guy in this. The bad guy. Well, him and his father, they break onto a ship, and then the father tries to kill Aquaman. And then Aquaman's like, I'm not gonna save you. You guys gotta save yourselves. The father's wounded, but like he'll be fine. But instead of focusing on saving himself, the father tries to kill Aquaman, which is a terrible idea because he misses and hits something which rolls onto him and crushes him, making his situation much worse because he's been injured by Aquaman. But only injured. But now he's in worse condition. And instead of really being able to fix his situation, he pulls out a kind of like a mini exploding device in his hand. And he holds it and gets his son out of there, which I guess is a heroic move. But, you know, he presses the button and stuff, and the son wants revenge on Aquaman because Aquaman decided not to save the guy who tried to kill him. And, yeah. Son blames everything on Aquaman. But as soon as I saw what the whole events like in the film with the bad guys, I'm just like, yeah, this is very stereotypical of like all the bad guys I've seen was like they want revenge. Like you see in the Black Panther movie that the bad guy in it wants revenge for the father's murder. That's more justified than I see in this film, where basically the father did this to himself in this film. Like if you watch this scene, I don't know, there's probably a clip on YouTube, and and like really look at it, and you're like, this guy, he's not getting the whole backing off thing. I don't know, when I saw it, I just was like, he kind of did this to himself. And then the son wanting to get revenge, the bad guy becoming a bigger bad guy himself, but he was already kind of a bad guy. He wants revenge. He becomes an ultimate villain, and basically is wearing a funny suit, a big circular helmet, and yeah, but he gets defeated pretty easily. Doesn't take too much work on Aquaman's part to defeat the guy. I don't think he was really that much of a problem. He's like, I want revenge. Aquaman's like, and then goes, oh! Yeah, the guy in the fight just doesn't last very long. Like, you thought the fight would go on much longer. It doesn't really. One thing I thought that was interesting in this film as I was watching it is just the hair, the way it moves in the ocean. Like when characters are talking in the ocean, you see this hair floating thing, and so some of the characters' hair isn't necessarily floating, and some of it's like overly floating. And I just thought that was weird. And like too much hair is just going everywhere. Like the guy's moving his head, and hair's just going like flap, 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 flap. You know, it's like going around. And I don't know, I just found it funny. And also the way they like move and talk to each other, especially when they're getting ready for like a fight underwater or something like that. The way they're walking and just like, I'm underwater. You know, like I don't really know where they're going with that, honestly. I don't know, I just found the underwater movements just funny. And just how strange the movements look. Like, I've seen underwater films and stuff, but this has so much CGI to it, and just so many things just don't look necessarily any bit believable. And I know believing that a society of people underwater is realistic is a crazy thing. But like when I'm watching a movie, I can believe in things as I'm watching it to just enjoy it, you know? But when the CGI is just so you know? And the movie was enjoyable. It didn't bore me, but it was just all over the place. You know, I think it's one of those movies where you gotta just watch it for the explosions and the enjoyment of just, you know, finding weird parts to laugh at, you know? It's not necessarily a movie that you'd want to analyze or really think about too much like I'm doing, because it will just make you confused after a while. It's an enjoyable superhero film. It's what it is. But what it's not is a superhero film that's going over what other, you know, it's not going beyond the stereotypical superhero movie. It's just setting itself within the same box that all the other superhero movies have, you know. It's not doing anything specifically unique, you know. It's an enjoyable film, but I don't know where to rate it, you know. I don't know if I should try to rate it myself, you know, because I don't know, I thought the film was okay, but I just don't think it was necessarily my favorite DC film that I've seen so far. Like, I've seen of all the superhero films the DC's made, the one I thought that was really well done was Wonder Woman. Saw that one. I believe I saw that one in theaters. I believe so. It was very well done. It was a great film. And the story just was coherent and well put together, and when the tragedy had to happen in it, you know, like a character sacrificing himself or something like that, you just went, oh no, because you were just like, you're so into it, you know? And in this one I just felt like the characters were okay, but like everything was just okay, you know? And maybe that's the problem. is that the CGI kind of was here and there, and the story was not really trying to go above and beyond. It was just trying to show a lot of action and show you a lot of explosions. You know? At the end of the day, I think if somebody were to see this, go and see this movie, or buy it on Blu-ray or whatever, I think what they'd get from it after seeing it for the first time is,
This film's about Aquaman.
and if that's all they get, then I guess that's good. Because I'm trying to, after I saw this film, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. So much going on, you know? I guess if I'm to summarize it for you, I'm going to just do a quick summarize, okay? It focuses on Aquaman and his parents, alright? How his father and mother met in the opening, and how their love had to be separated due to his mother being an Atlantean, and his mother's presumed dead because of an affair that she had with Aquaman's father, which caused a big problem, and the husband that Aquaman's mom was betrothed to took offense and supposedly killed Aquaman's mom, and you feel bad about that, I guess. And Aquaman is kind of put into a situation around the early part of the film to join up with a redheaded woman who is an Atlantean herself and a princess who is supposed to marry the brother of Aquaman, who Aquaman doesn't really think kindly of. He thinks of his brother as a knocker. And when it comes to the brother he has to deal with, that becomes an issue, along with a side villain character, which I mentioned, whose father Aquaman didn't save in the earliest part of the film. But the main focus of it is Aquaman dealing with his brother and defeating his brother, while also reconnecting his brother and himself to his mother, who I guess helps, I guess. And at the very end of the film, you can see that Aquaman has gotten with the redheaded woman who he traveled with, and who was an Atlantean, who was the princess of the brother, was going to be with the brother, but isn't anymore, is going to be with Aquaman. Romance portion of the film. I don't know about that, but I just want to get back to how the mother becomes a main focus. I mean, she was the main focus of the opening, but she comes back, and like she comes back to the father, and the father and her continue their relationship. Kind of a love story between those two, Aquaman's father and mother. It's kind of a nice love story, I guess, retrospective after seeing the film. He waited for her, and she, I guess, in her own way, waited for him. And there's some interesting CGI in the beginning of the film, with both parents looking younger with digital effects and stuff like that. Thought that was interesting. What else? I think I about summed it up pretty much. I think I about summed it up. The film was okay. But honestly, I gotta tell you, as far as being able to remember it after you've seen it, it'll probably go away in a day. Your memory of what you saw, you know. It's one of those movies that is enjoyable when you see it, but you'll probably forget the whole storyline when you get home and try to map it out in your head, which is pretty much what happened to me after seeing it. So, all in all, I give it an okay out of okay. And a good rating. Not good given a rating system. So, if you're into superhero films, Aquaman's okay. Probably worth checking out.
Hello, Storyboard Ed audience. In closing this video, I wanted to let you know that I am in the process of writing a book. This book is something I'm eager about, but I'm just kind of announcing that I'm working on one. I don't know how many pages I'm doing, but so far I'm about 5 pages in. And yeah, just so you know, I'm writing a book because I wanted to write one. I hope everybody has a great day and subscribes, and yeah, bye.